Hey everybody, I am going to make a quick video on how to use the modifier screw, this one right here. So this is like the revolve tool in Revit. So I'm just gonna, in here, I'm just gonna select everything and delete it. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is just start by drawing a curve. So I'm gonna do Shift A, curve, Bezier. So there's my curve down there. If I go to my top view, here's my curve. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this and I'm just going to position it, say over here. Okay. Now what I want to do is select that curve, go to my modifier and go to screw. And let's first click the X button. Okay. So right now, this is revolving about the X axis. If I click this one, it's revolving about the along the Y axis is maybe a good way to say it. And then same with Z. So um, let's go to the X one first, because that one will make sense. So right now it's revolving, but it's revolving about this point, the origin point, about the X axis. It's not revolving around the X axis, but um, let's say along the X axis. So what I'm going to do is go into this curve or into this object. Actually, I'm going to just turn off the screw modifier by hitting this little X button right here. Ooh, I should turn on my, let me go to my add-on here and turn on my screen. Let's see if this is the one. Nope, not that one. I want to remove that one. This one. Okay. Now you can see what I'm pressing here. So there we go. Okay, so here I am with my curve. I'm going to tab into it. All these points are already selected. I'm just going to move them along the X down a little bit, about right there. I'm going to tab back out and now I'll add that modifier. There we go. It's currently set to X, but or Z, but I'm going to set it to X. And you can see how it's revolving along the X about that origin point. So now if I grab this and I tab in, I'm still selecting the endpoints of that curve. I'm going to do GX. And if I move it in, you see it gets thinner. If I move it out, it's wider. Well, let's do something like this. Okay, it looks like a lamp or something we're going to make here. I'm going to go to some of my settings here. So steps in the viewport, if I increase this, this is going to get smoother in my viewport. If I increase this here, it'll get smoother in my rendering. So I like to just match those. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with this. I can just leave it as a modifier, or let me tab out. I can also just apply it. Okay, so if I hit apply here and now tab in, let's see. Oop, is it going to let me? Maybe it won't. Let's try again. Apply. No, it doesn't want to do that, but maybe I can convert it to a mesh, in which case it gets rid of that modifier. So let me just revisit that real quick. So right now this is a curve revolving, which gives me that shape. Now, some of the other modifiers that we played with, if I hit this down arrow and hit apply, it just sort of bakes in that modifier. For this one, since we're starting with a curve, my understanding is that we have to actually convert it just to a mesh. So let me do that. Okay, that got rid of that modifier, just like I baked it in. And now if I tab in, I have full access to this geometry that we just created using that modifier. So if I go to 2, I'm going to select these edges here and hit F to make a fill. I'm going to do the same here. Grab these edges, hit F to make a fill there. Okay, so now See if I can do shade flat. I'm right clicking on this. You can do shade smooth or shade flat so you can see a little more faceted there. But now this is basically a nice piece of geometry and I can do things to it now. I'm not sort of locked into that modifier, although they're very useful. Let's just try something here. I'm going to do GZ, GY, GX, and I'm going to select this one, then this one, and go to my bool tool. And let's see if I can difference these. Oh, didn't like it. Bool tool is hit or miss, so sometimes it'll work, sometimes it will give you grief, but let's try to do it the other way. Okay, didn't mind that way, but it didn't like it to use this as the cutter, which it just depends on the geometry. Maybe we can just do slice. Ooh, that worked. So now we got that line all the way through there. That's pretty cool. Or we could do, let's try intersect. Oh, it did that one. So that's right where both those objects intersect. Just didn't seem to like difference. But the way we could get around difference is actually by slicing it. Okay. And then go in here. See, there it is right there. So I could go in here and delete this. Let's see. See what happens. Maybe it won't let me. Let's see if I can join these two by right clicking. Oop, didn't like that. So just depends on what you're trying to do, but sometimes it will slice nicely, sometimes it won't. Um, Let me show you another method to do this. I'm going to reset my cursor by hitting Shift C, and that will reset it to the origin point. Now I'm going to go to 7, and I'm going to draw a plane. Okay. I'm going to move that plane over here. I'm going to tab in. I'm going to hit 1, grab all those vertices, and I'm going to merge those vertices at the center. So I have one vertice. Okay. Now I'm going to grab that vertice and I'm going to hit E again, hit E again, hit E again. Okay, so I'm extruding that vertice into a line. Now what I can do is I can select a vertice and go Control B V for bevel vertice. So if I do that, I can drag this down to a point I like, and then I can also move my mouse wheel up to get more segments in there to make it more curvy. Actually, I'll just grab all these and do Control BV, smooth those out. Okay, so now I get a nice um, curve that I've made just by extruding. Now I'm going to tab in here. I'm going to grab everything. I'm going to do GX and hit tab. I want to pull it away from that origin point. All right, so if I click on this, I can tell that this is not a curve yet, but let's see if it'll revolve even though I started with a plane. So really, Blender still thinks this is a plane, even though I've kind of made it into a curve. But let's try applying the modifier. Looks like it wants to work. So there, that's good. It's a little goofy there. Let's see what's going on. Let's do Y. All right, and I'm going to right click and say shade flat. Not quite sure why it's doing this weirdness there, but the revolve worked correctly. I'm going to go and convert this to a mesh. I'm going to tab in. Okay, that seemed to work. Looks like it maybe if we just apply a different material, that will go away. Let's see that weird anomaly. Not quite sure why it's doing that, but the whole point of it was to get the revolve to work, which it did. Let's grab these points. Okay. Don't know why I would need to rotate those, but I'm going to do RY. See if I can. Let's try turning the roughness up. Hmm, let's think about that. What are you? Shade flat. Oh, there it goes. Shade flat, shade smooth, shade flat. Okay, there it went away. So just some odd anomaly there. If I tab in, I can of course I'm gonna go to 3A, select all, E. I'm gonna actually go Alt E, extrude along normals. Let's see if what we can do here. You can do E or E. Let me start over there. Okay, I have everything selected. If I hit E, it sort of gives me a weird result. If I hit um, E, S, it'll actually sort of operate how I want, but then I can limit it on an axis. So I can limit it on the Y. So I'm going to do Shift Y. So there. So it just is going to extrude in on the X and Z, which is what I want. If I click, now that I have a solid piece here that I can work with. Okay, so quite a bit there. Just to recap, what we did is we made a curve and we applied the screw modifier. We also made a curve from like a plane. So we merged the vertices of a plane um, into one vertice and then we extruded that. So technically it wasn't really a curve because we started with a plane, but it still worked fine in the screw modifier. But we can get really complex geometries just by um, using that modifier and very little geometry, but we can create very complex things to use. Okay, hope that was helpful. I'll be back with more.